Hey everybody, so the first week of July actually started the month out with a bang. That's not what I wanted to say, so we're gonna start from here. Hey everybody, so the month of July is starting off pretty good. We're just going to talk about that first week of July since it began on a Monday. And I thought I would do things a little different. I'm just going to share my sales with you per day and just do them in that order instead of like all eBay, all Poshmark, blah, blah, blah. Just to change things up, just to do something a little bit different. Monday, July 1st, started off with about 7 sales on a few different platforms. So first one here is on eBay. It was a Knox Rose dress that sold for $20 and it sold for full asking price. I had been sending out offers and I had that coupon running which ended on June 30th. And so I was happy that this just sold for full asking price of $20. Now Knox Rose, you guys probably know, it's just a Target brand. And it's just a bread and butter, okay? What I have found for me that has done the best so far are larger sizes. And then anything like floral and flowy, blouses, tunics. This is the first time I picked up a dress like this longer dress, or, medium-sized dress. But it had that kind of Knox Rose kind of boho style to it. It had ruffles and things like that. So it sold for $20. Not terrible, I'm not running out looking for Knox Rose, but it's kind of interesting. Thrift stores do also a couple of my thrift stores tend to price it up a little bit depending on, I don't know, maybe they think it's just kind of trendy and so they price it up accordingly. So I don't always pick it up. I usually only pick it up if it's like on Dollar Day or something like that. And because I know it's only going to sell like $18 to $20. Next up on eBay was a fishing reel, Mr. Pish Posh, one of his listings. And that sold for, again, full asking price, $24.99. Another kind of bread and butter one. I think we dug into, I might have picked these shoes up for my son one time, but it turns out they're women's shoes, and I don't know, his foot doesn't always fit this style keen, and I think I had picked them up fairly inexpensively one time, and I thought, oh, maybe someday he'll fit into these, and then he just never wore them. Your foot kind of like his top of his foot arches quite a bit. I always had this problem when he was a baby, and so certain shoes didn't fit him very well. So these have just been banging around in our stuff for a while, and Mr. Pish Posh got a bunch of summer shoes listed recently, and they, $25, they sold pretty quickly. The size was marked off on them, like on Keen shoes, there's usually a circle on the inside, and it was rubbed off. But he looked at the measurements on the website, and he concluded that they were a women's, probably size 12. Anyway, that's what he said the measurements matched to. So I was kind of nervous about the whole thing. But they've been delivered and there hasn't been any kind of return requested or anything like that. So hopefully that continues to work out. Then this one, another pickup by Mr. Pish Posh a while back. He had picked up 2 of these at the thrift store. I don't know if he just thought because they were easy, they were new with tags, they were in their original packaging. It's kind of like an older, I think for like older technology, but sometimes people still want like a charger that works kind of the way that they're used to. It just sold for $15, but that was the full asking price. And both of them are sold now, I think, at this point. Another pair of shoes sold that day. Another $25 pair of sandals by Tiva. They also sold fairly quickly. A women's size 6, and they sold for the full $25. Over on Posh on that day, we had one sale on Posh that day. It was this Patagonia visor hat, and as you can see, it's like faded It's distressed a little bit, and it's still sold for $27. So Mr. Pish Posh had made sure to say in the description that it was distressed, it was faded, but it was clean. Like, we had washed it, it was clean and air dried and everything like that. So it sold for $27. And then that day on Etsy, Monday, July 1st, we sold this, one of our famous wood grain clocks, sold for $34.99. Okay, so moving on to July 2nd, which was a Tuesday, we sold some flatware. Now this, let's just talk about this flatware for a second, because I almost did a different video on this, but I thought I would just talk about it as things have been selling. So a while back at a thrift store, a little local thrift, I picked up a shoebox of flatware, and the pattern was Torin by Dansk Designs. I recognized it right away. It's got this curved handle. It's very glossy. And it turned out I had 49 pieces of this flatware, and she charged me about $10 for the box. So I was trying to figure out what I could turn this $10 into. Now, I did a video on variation listings where you can put all of your flatware, all of your pieces into one listing, and people can buy them one at a time. They can buy 3 knives, 2 forks, whatever, and kind of do their own thing. Now, here's the thing about variation listings that kind of threw me off. I've had a sale from that listing, and the shipping was not working out right. So I realized that in the past, I'd always done free shipping on a variation listing, and it just works out easier for everybody that way. So you're putting the price of the shipping into, like, say they just buy 1 fork, your shipping is covered. But then, if they buy more than 1 piece, you're getting that shipping cost, repeatedly. The built-in shipping cost is kind of adding up. Now, I had thought, well, let me do calculated shipping, because that way it wouldn't be, maybe that would be a turnoff. The free shipping might be a turnoff to the buyer if they realize that you've put your extra shipping costs into the price of the item. So I'm like, I'll just do calculated. And I have a calculated shipping rule set up that for each additional item, it's supposed to subtract 2 ounces, so that as it adds up all the weight of however many pieces that they buy, it doesn't have the weight of, like, the packaging in every single item. For some reason, that didn't work. So someone bought several pieces of flatware, and all they got charged for was for shipping 1. Now, it turned out fine. It was like $1 difference or something like that when all was said and done. So it worked out good, but I thought, how in the world, why is this not working? And how are people doing their variation listings? So it turned out, I think, what I ended up doing is switching that listing from calculated shipping to just a flat rate. So I'll charge maybe $4 for the first shipment, or $3.50 or something like that. And then I'll charge 50 cents or $1 for each additional piece. And that's how I decided to end up doing that. So anyway, that's the thing with variation listings that you have to pay attention to. I have no idea why my calculated shipping rule didn't work in that instance. So for these, I decided to do it differently. I decided to break up the lot into different listings. I had serving pieces. I have the knives. I ended up putting all into one listing. I did not have a complete service for 8. So I decided to break up the set. A service for 8 could still sell for like about $400 if you had a complete service for 8. I didn't, so I decided to break it up into like 2 forks, whatever's the most valuable. Like the forks were like by 2s, I think. Teaspoons I did by 2s. No, it was the teaspoons I did by 2s. I did the dinner forks by 4s, just different things like that. Just broke them up into smaller lots. Now, the value of the 10 listings, The 49 pieces, I broke them up into 10 different listings. And if everything sold at the full asking price, it would sell for $762.84. Now, I know some will sell for 10% off. Some I'll send out an offer with $5 off, like different things like that. So it won't be quite completely $762. But I could turn that $10 into possibly $600, $650. And so to me, that seemed like the smart way to go. So I decided to do that with this set of flatware that I got. And that's what I generally do for a lot of my flatware. I don't do a ton of variation listings, although I've noticed that more and more flatware sellers are doing the variation listings. But just keep in mind that whole shipping thing. Okay, so the first thing to sell out of these Dance Designs listings totally surprised me because it was the dinner knives, and dinner knives are usually the last thing that sell when you have a bunch of flatware. But these sold for $26.99. So there was an offer, I think a 10% offer I sent out, and they accepted on that. So $26.99 for that first set of 8 forks plus shipping. The other sale I had that day, Talbot's. This was just a shift style dress. I had about 5 sales on the second. This was just a Talbot's dress, very simple, chambray material, and that sold for $20.23. Again, it must have been an offer, like a percentage offer that I sent out and was accepted. The next sale on eBay was this cross-stitch kit. Now this I did pick up that day that I picked up all those other cat and horse cross-stitch kits, and I just kind of overlooked it because this had been at the thrift store a little while. I had seen it before and I wasn't going to pick it up. And I think it came in the pile, right? And so I ended up bringing it home. But it did end up selling. They didn't pay right away, but it did end up selling for $14.95. And it was within a week or so. So it moved fairly quickly. And then here's that developing tank that we talked about in our video when Mr. Pish Posh and I went thrifting together. We took an $18 offer for this because it had nothing on the inside. There was no spools or anything like that. And that came from that dollar sale, I believe. Yes. Okay. On that same day, I had one sale on Posh. And so look at that. Cross-posting more than just clothing to Posh, it can be a really good idea. So this is very mid-century. I was so excited. I found these in the bag hanging on the wall at Goodwill. They're marked made in Denmark. I love seeing that mark. And it had been a while since I found this style of candlestick holder made out of wood. I had found quite a few in the past, but it had been a while since I had found these. So excited about that. Paid $2, $3, something like that, and they sold for $42 on Poshmark. So then on the next day, on the 3rd, I just had 2 sales, one on eBay, which was more of the flatware, the Dansk flatware. So I sold 3 iced teaspoons for $49.49. Gotta love it. And some of these were international. I think this one might have been going to Canada. But it's, flatware. I just love flatware. I really need to get my butt going with getting more flatware listed. This was my one Ruby Lane sale for the week. Now, Ruby Lane is doing awesome this week. I don't know what's going on, but last week, just one little sale. And this had been listed for a while. And they sold for $12. We had to go dig around until I could find where I had stashed them. But they sold for $12. Just little hors d'oeuvre cutters in the tin. I just thought it was cute. Okay, next day was July 4th. And so we actually did better on the 4th than we did on the 3rd. We had 2 eBay sales, an Etsy sale, and a bundle on Posh where we sold 3 items in one bundle. well, 3 listings in one bundle. So first up, these Dansk, the Torin dinner forks for 4 pieces, 4 dinner forks sold for $40. And then we sold this utensil, which you would probably recognize if you've been watching me for any length of time as to my favorite kind of utensil to find and sell. Just a little plain cheese slicer. This one was marked Zealandia, Norway, and we sold it for $25 here, full asking price on eBay. Then on Etsy that day, we sold some more Dansk. I had picked these up on a yard sale for I think $1, and we didn't even polish them up or anything like that. They're little like taper candle holders or whatever. Teardrop. They're made in France. Anyway, we sold them for $18.99. And then these next 3 items were all in one bundle. Now look how fun these are. Crate and Barrel. They were called Oliver. The line was called Oliver Snack Plates, right? So we had divided, I had gotten a big stack of them and we divided them up by style. So this is him lounging on some shrimp. They're just little rectangular like appetizer tray type plates, right? And then the other ones we had were like Swiss cheese. Then we only had 3 of those. And here's the mark. CB2. It's Crate and Barrel. They're from 2011. Then the third set was Oliver with his candy cane. So a buyer put all of these in a bundle, and then she offered me, I want to say like $93 or something for the bundle. I was totally happy with that. I think it was 93 because I remember her thinking that she was probably trying to get close to 100, including the shipping. Fortunately, you have to watch bundles on Poshmark because their shipping label goes up to 5 pounds. If you go over 5 pounds and have to upgrade the label to 10 pounds, that comes out of your profit, right? And so Mr. Pish Posh packaged these all up. They're small little trays, and they were just under 5 pounds. So that was awesome. She got a really good shipping deal. You know, she paid $7-8 just to ship all these little plates to her. And we just got 5 stars from her today. So that money got released to us. So that was good. They made it there safely. Okay, then next up on July 5th, just 3 sales that day. This was a air pellet gun. And so I think Mr. Pish Posh I remember him getting it at one of our little local thrifts, and he paid up a little bit. And so he, it's not working, but he knew someone could just do what needed to be done to get it to work. And so he kind of held out. People were giving us lower offers. He wanted at least $50 for it. And so, I do believe, he wanted at least $50 for it. I forgot. I think there was like different offers, and he would counter offer at 50. And then somebody paid the full asking price, $89.99. And see, we had best offer on it, and they did not even send us an offer. So that made his day. I totally forgot about that. I was thinking I was going to look down and it would say $50, but nope. Full asking price on that. And then the same day we sold this slide rule for $24.99 on Etsy. And I picked this up for $0.25 at a yard sale. So 25 cents into $25. And I remember when I got it home, 25 cents, I'm not comping at the store. Some slide rules can be really big money. So if they're cheap enough, I'll pick them up. And I got home and I kind of looked it up and I'm like, they're selling for like $15 on eBay, but whatever. But Mr. Pish Posh, he goes high sometimes. So he just started it off at $25, and we figured on eBay we'd end up sending offers, whatever. But someone went ahead and paid the full price on Etsy. So take from that what you will. And then on Posh, we sold this hat. It's a vintage Aero Specialty Company hat. Snapback. and we sold that for $24. And also, oops, I forgot to mention this one. We had a Depop sale that day, another hat for $25. We've been getting our boys this summer to help us quite a bit with our listing. They are taking pictures, so my older son took the pictures on this listing. They've been measuring clothing for us. They've been, my other son and I are working on my pattern stash. He's taking pictures and drafting. My older son is not just taking the pictures, but also starting drafts. So we're trying to keep them busy during the summer and kind of get ahead on getting more things listed, since this is our main source of income this summer. Anyway, back to, I do believe we're on our next day, the 6th, July 6th. So it's the weekend. And we had 4 sales that day. And the first one, or the only one on eBay that day, was this Jamie Sadik golf top. And it sold for $34.99. Says it was an international sale, so I think it also went to Canada. So that was a nice little flip. And then I had 2 pattern sales on Etsy that day. $39 for this men's Renaissance costume pattern. And it's for, a king, as you can see, some medieval royalty there. And then the other pattern we sold was a Vogue pattern, DKNY, for $14. And then in the other Etsy shop, we sold these Arabia of Finland. I'll show you the mark here, Arabia. It gives you the name of the pattern right on the bottom, Karelia. And these were 4 bowls. We have another set of 4, maybe a set of 3 in a separate listing, but they bought the set of 4. Now, let me tell you, I have had these bowls like for so long, and they were listed in my other Etsy shop, and they were on eBay, and I was like, ugh. And I was like, so not all Arabia Finland is created equal. So these got moved around. I think I pulled them back out again because we had them not listed for a bit. Pulled them back out. And so what did I do one day? I found 4 more at a thrift store and bought them too. Like, oh, if 4 won't sell, 8 will do better, right? Well, one of those 4 is like not as, what do I want to say? It's not as, it's too different looking. So Mr. Pish Posh felt weird putting it, like the colors on the rim were a little bit different. So he just put the other 3 in a listing, I think, is what he ended up doing. But anyway, these sold finally for $40. Can move them out of my life. Then, I think we're on the 7th, and all we had on the 7th were 3 sales on eBay. We sold these 8 soup spoons, oval soup spoons, for $50 in our favorite dance pattern. Then, same buyer bought the other 4 dinner forks for another $40. So we're doing pretty good, working our way through those 10 listings. They're 10 listings. Some of them have multiples. So it's actually probably more listings than 10 if you think about it. But yeah, as you can see, in 1 week we sold quite a bit of that little flatware find off. So I was super happy about that. And we're finishing up the week with another hat. And that one sold for $16. It's just boulet cowboy boots. And we sold a hat. I think I got it at Goodwill. So I didn't get it super cheap like I normally do. Anyway, okay. So Flatware. I have a couple videos on Flatware if you haven't seen them. I'm going to revisit those topics again in future videos. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave questions down below. I'll go ahead and link the Flatware videos as well. And let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover about Flatware and such. Or I'll just kind of redo the video again for all the new viewers and maybe make it a little bit better. Okay, I hope you guys are doing great. As always, leave me a comment down below as far as your sales for the beginning of July. Is July looking better than June? Is summer slowdown still affecting you, or how are things going? So let me know, and I will talk to you soon.